listeners. I'm Muriel here from Date Like a French Woman podcast. And today I'm very excited because we have a very special guest, JB Glossinger, who's the creator of MorningCoach.com and the very famous podcast MorningCoach.com, which ranked the first 20 in the world and was downloaded 21 million times. JB is an internationally renowned author, coach, speaker, and consultant. I love that he describes himself as the archaeologist of life. It's very cool. His goal is to help people create the life and the business that they want, and he's teaching them how to break through to the next level. JB has an MBA and a PhD, and recently published a book with Hay House. I personally had the opportunity to talk with him on his show to ask him for business tips, and he gave me the most inspiring advice. So I'm going to paraphrase. He told me to be consistent, persistent, and to not give up before the miracle happens. So today, JB, I have the opportunity to thank you personally, because every time I'm frustrated, I can hear your words in my head. So it's keeping me going. And your business is really successful today, but I'm sure it hasn't always been butterflies and roses. So why don't you take us back on your journey and tell us your story?
Okay, no problem. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on. It has been a fun journey, but I, like everybody else, I wanted to do something special, and I was in corporate. I did pretty well. I rose through the ranks, did an MBA, did a PhD, did all the education, but was really miserable. Was really unhappy. I just felt like there was something missing in my life, even though I'd gotten to the ranks of being the boss. It felt like something was missing. And what was crazy about that is I was kind of angry at myself for being miserable. I was like, wait a minute, that you're making more money than your parents ever did. You have more than you ever did. What's wrong with you? But when I did a values assessment to kind of figure out where I was in my life, and I found that I wanted a little more freedom, and I was really locked in. I had no freedom at all. And I was really miserable. So I went out and wrote a book, not the book with Hay House, but another book, and self-published it and thought that was going to take me to my dreams. And I fell flat on my face. I totally failed. Nobody bought the book. The whole thing it was terrible. I had 4,000 books come to my house. I sold like 2. I had books all over. Eventually we lost our house and we had to move out. And, it was probably one of the darkest times of my life. If you've ever had a dream and then, feel like it's not going to work, it's just a bad position to be in. But I kept at it every day. And fortunately, the universe and God came to my aid, and this thing called podcasting was getting started. And so I started doing this podcast, and people started listening and buying the books. And, here I am 10 years later with a great business. And I'm an Hay House author now, published Hay House, the process that got me there called The Sacred Six. And I'm having a blast. So, if I can get there, I think everybody else can. But I think what most people lack is the ability to stay persistent and do it day by day, and kind of what I call Forrest Gump it, like the old movie, where you just keep doing it. Stop worrying about what other people think until it starts to work for you.
Yeah, you really are the proof that it works. Really. I noticed that you stayed very authentic because you're not afraid to admit that you're not perfect and you have made mistakes. So how do you think that those mistakes and failures helped you succeed, and how did they make you a better coach?
Well, I think the biggest issue that we have in the world today is this plastic world that we live in. I just don't think people are real. I mean, we look at Facebook and Twitter, our social experiences, and, everybody has the perfect marriage, everybody has the perfect children, and we start comparing ourselves with that, and that's very dangerous. I think somebody needs to be the voice of truth, that, there is darkness in the world, that not everything is light, not everything is love, as much as we want it to be. I mean, I'm totally a person of love and compassion, and I would love to have that utopia. But the truth is, we're going to lose. We're going to fail. Things aren't going to work. We're going to have an idea that we think is the best idea in the world. We're going to put it out there, and it's going to be rejected by the market. I've built courses where I've shot all the videos and put everything, spent weeks and weeks, months literally, and then sold it, and people haven't bought it. And I got a big audience. So it's the point where I just think we need more truth, and people need to be able to be themselves. And we live in a society where it's kind of frowned upon, right? And people, they're just plastic. It's just like it's time for people to become more authentic and be themselves, because I think it's led me to be a lot better coach, because I'm not putting up any barriers. I'm allowing people into my life, and I'm just being honest. Not everything's perfect for me either. My business has got issues just like anybody else's. But I'm going to tell you the truth. And that's one, I sleep good at night because of that.
Yeah, and I have the feeling that people are looking more and more for authenticity because they're tired of this perfect plastic image that has been presented to us for so long. I remember from our conversation that you said that going with your passion, instead of don't follow your passion, follow your purpose, because passion is not always enough, and that one needs to find his purpose to succeed. Could you expand on that?
Yeah. Passion's great. Like having passion and fire for things is great, but it really isn't enough. I mean, I could be passionate about playing football or soccer, right? But if I don't have a purpose or a reason behind it, I'm not going to do it. And we've always heard, live with your passion, live with your passion. But at the end of the day, really, it's more about the purpose. Why are you doing it? What's behind it? Why do you want to write that book? Why do you want to become the singer? Why do you want to go do whatever it is that you want to do? And passion alone sometimes can just, again, run us into walls and not allow us to get it done. So I think you need them both. I really do. But you really got to make sure you have a purpose behind what you're doing.
And so what is your purpose? How did you find it?
My purpose, it's funny. I don't believe in Archangel Gabriel coming down and having to sing and bring you the purpose. But for me, it's always been a calling. I mean, back when I was 18, I read self-help books. I love Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins. And so it was always just part of my life. It was just a big part of my life. And so I think it was something inside of me that, I just love to help people. I get tremendous joy out of seeing other people be successful. And I know that's rare, but that's what I get excited about. And for me, it was just, maybe it was my upbringing. I don't know. I honestly can't tell you where it came from, but it's there. I believe it's inspired. And I believe we all have that. And that's, what I try to help people with, is to try to find, what is that purpose? Why are you doing it? And for me, it's really, I get so much satisfaction out of helping people that it's a lot of fun to be the person that's encouraging instead of discouraging.
And based on your experience coaching people to find their purpose, where should they start if they absolutely don't know what it is?
Well, the key is to quiet the mind and to slow down. So my background's metaphysics. I'm very odd. I have an MBA in business and a PhD in metaphysics. So I'm a very spiritual person. It's a battle that I have every day. I have left and right brain. I have that analytical side and I have the creative side. But for me, my battle is to find peace every single day, because the voice of God is silence. And you can say universe, whatever your belief is. But at the end of the day, that's where it comes from. It comes from quieting things down. It comes from getting out of the future, out of the past, and becoming totally present, as Eckhart Tolle, the great teachers, taught us. And really, that's the truth. You got to get present. You got to get out of the mind and find out, what you want to do now. What is the next experience that you want to do? And that's usually where I start with people that are a little confused. I say, what do you want to experience next? For some people, it's like, I just want to talk to my 12-year-old daughter. We got in a fight. I want to heal that relationship. Okay, well, let's get that experience fixed. So really, it's about understanding that experience is what's so critical, at the beginning, if you don't understand what your purpose is.
Okay, so like meditation, basically.
100%. Yeah, meditation is great. Anything that you can quiet down and silence the mind and really get away from the noise and all those things. When the future is the biggest issue. A lot of people, when this happens and I get 5 clients, my life's going to get better. When I get that check that comes in, my life's going to get better. When we have this child, my life's going to get better. It's always in the future, and then as soon as that happens, then it's something else and something else. Next thing you know, you're on your deathbed looking back and wondering what the heck happened. We have got to slow it down. Otherwise, you're always looking out for the next thing. And that's not where happiness is. Happiness and peace and joy are now, not in the future.
And don't you think that people who are not able to appreciate what they have now, they won't be able to appreciate what will be in their now of the future?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. There's an old story about a wise man, and a man comes into town and he says, I'm so happy I'm leaving my old town. The people there are all grouchy and complain and angry. And the old wise man, and the guy says, well, how are they in this town? And the old wise man says, well, you're not going to like it here because they're all old and grouchy and angry too. And then another guy comes into town. And he goes, man, I'm sure going to miss the town that I'm leaving because everybody there is pleasant and happy and joyful. And the old wise man says, oh, well, you're going to love it here because everybody's happy and joyful and playful. So it's what you expect and what you bring in is what you're going to get out of the world. So if you don't have gratitude now, why would you have gratitude then? It's the same way of giving. If you don't have a lot of money and you can't give anything now, why do you think when you have millions of dollars you're going to give? It's all in the moment, and how you react and how you do things is what really determines where you're going to be and what that future now is going to look like.
Yes. Your book, The Secret Six, which I'm working with now, by the way, is amazing. It's a work to do, not a work to read only. Why sacred and why 6 and not 10?
Oh, because, there's a little bit of science behind it. The sacred is a term to me that's very near and dear from a spiritual perspective. Something that's sacred is something that's almost spiritual, right? It's very deep and very important to you. And so the 6 is like, these things are very important to me to get done, to help me live my life and do the things that I want to do. Why 6 is, there's a couple reasons. One is because the original story that I told in the book, that takes it all the way back to the Carnegie story and way back when, was that he said, hey, let's do 6 things and go from there. But I also found that in an 8-hour work day, that if you're going to do, we're finding that most people work 5.5 to 6 hours of productive time. So that 6 hours is really a kind of a productive thing. Like, hey, I know I can get 6 things done. But that's kind of where it comes from. It comes from that original story, and it comes from going all the way back to the Carnegie and, hey, these were the 6 things. And that's where I took that. And it's worked for me. It's worked real well. And it's worked for a lot of other people, thousands of other people. So I think it's a good number. When we get to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, we just start to get overwhelmed.
It is. And for myself, I took it as one goal per area of my life. So that would work too, right? Like one goal for my body, one goal for my business, one goal for my spiritual.
100%. The Sacred 6 is a process, and it can go a million different directions. In the most basic format, I mean, people can use it in business than they are for project management. The idea is that we have a mission or an overriding goal or something we want to accomplish, and then we understand our values, which lead us to that, and then we set goals that are going to help us hit that bigger goal. And so, yeah, we can work within any framework of that. You can have as many goals as you want. The secret, though, is that you can't have more than 6 projects going on at any given time. That's where the real power is, because people have a lot of goals and then they have a lot of projects and they're working on everything and then nothing gets done. So if we limit our projects and the things that we're working on, business and life, we tend to focus and get more things done. And that's what's so important about the process.
And that's really true, because today we're so bombarded with information. I know it helps us gain clarity. That book helps us gain clarity on where we want to go and really focus like one project at a time of the 6 projects, because it's very overwhelming otherwise.
100%. Yeah, and that's the biggest issue people have today, is they're just overwhelmed.
Yes. So in my show, we talk about love a lot, and especially about self-love, because it's one of the pillars of my coaching. I define self-love as always trying your best to become the highest version of yourself, whether it is with your body, with the way you treat others or yourself, or how committed you are on getting out of your comfort zone to grow. How do you define self-love, and what role does it play in your life?
Well, self-love is incredibly important, because if you don't take care of your health, you don't take care of your mental state, positive attitude. If you believe in the metaphysical ideas that I do, law of attraction and bringing abundance and wealth in, well, if you don't take care of yourself, then how do you think that the universe or God's going to take care of you when you don't even take care of yourself? There's an old story that Zig Ziglar tells that I just love. And he said, if you bought a racehorse for the Kentucky Derby and you paid $1 million for that racehorse and it was going to run the Kentucky Derby, would you pour coffee down its throat and have it eat at McDonald's and then run the race? No, of course not. Well, you're worth so much more than that racehorse, but yet we treat ourselves so badly that it's hard to see, and then we wonder why we're not abundant. Well, you're not abundant because you don't love yourself. You truly don't. And you know that by the way that you spend your weekends. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you staying healthy? Are you feeding your mind with positive things and gardening, getting rid of the negative and bringing in the positive? That's where self-love plays in. And once you start doing that, then abundance comes into your life. So self-love is critical in moving forward in every area of your life.
Yeah, totally. So you have the book, you have the podcast, which is amazing too. I know you mentioned you have coaching programs, and if people want to find out about them or to get in contact with you, where should they go?
Thanks for asking. Real easy, morningcoach.com. I mean, we're just trying to change the world there. We're trying to put positive energy out every day. I do every single day. I do the podcast to get people up in the morning, start their day right. We got apps now for iPhone, and it's really just trying to help the world bring more consciousness and more positivity. So helping people establish their mornings. I've been doing it for 11 years now, but that's where you can find me, morningcoach.com. It's really easy over there.
Okay. I didn't know you had apps, by the way. I'm going to have to check on that on my iPhone.
Yeah, we got apps. And if you go to Morning Coach on the go, there's apps there.
Okay, so I'll check that.
You'll like it. They're really good ones too.
If you had like the ultimate advice to give people, what would it be?
Well, I think, there's a quote that I always say that I love, and it's that thoughts are things, right? We heard that in the law of attraction and The Secret back in the day, that if we think about something, we will get it. But the problem is that thoughts are things, but beliefs make them so. And so what we've got to work on is our belief, because you can think about something all day long, but if you don't believe you're not going to get it, or you don't believe it's coming, you're not going to get it. Otherwise, everybody would be driving a Ferrari, right? So thoughts are things, beliefs make them so, and then actions solidify the belief. So what actions are you taking? And we talk about self-love. Are you taking care of your health? Are you doing the things that you're talking about? So a lot of people think, I can just go think about something that's going to come into my life. No, actions really are the critical thing. So thoughts are things, right? Thoughts are things, but beliefs make them so, and actions are the things that solidify those beliefs, which will bring it into your life.
And and if people take action and don't get, that's always what I tell them. If you take action on a regular basis and you don't get the results that you want, then that means you have to really dig and see about your beliefs, because that means there is a conflict there.
Yeah, something's wrong. And the other thing about that is, remember, the greater good is always conspiring for you. So, for example, if my first book would have been a hit, I wouldn't be on this show today. We wouldn't know each other. So, sometimes failure in the moment is actually joy in the future, right? Or in the moment of the now, the future now. So don't get caught up in the failure in the moment. Understand and learn the lesson, and you'll see what happens in the future. There's usually a reason, and that's what we've got to keep looking for, is why the heck did that happen? Because I've had a lot of those, I lost my house. What was good of that, right? But if I didn't go through that whole part of my life, I wouldn't have Morning Coach to be doing the things I'm doing.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, so be grateful for your failures even.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's just, there are no failures, there's just learning experiences.
Yes. So, I really want to thank you because, in fact, you were the inspiration for my podcast. And I will always think about that in the future, whenever I will be where I want to be. And I also want to tell people that to not be intimidated by all the ideas of goal. Because sometimes when you put a goal out there, even though we're saying like 6 projects, when the goal is too big and too far, it's very intimidating. So the process to remove the intimidation would be what? To break it in smaller goals?
100%. Yeah, always. Simplify. Everything is about simplification. We overcomplicate everything. And I'm talking about that this week a little bit on the show on Wednesday. One of the biggest issues we have in the world today is complication. So yeah, slow it down. The old adage, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's the same thing. How do you write a book? One word at a time. And that's how you get bigger projects to work for you, is to slow it down and celebrate the small victories, the small things that you do every day. And that's how you'll get to the bigger goals.
Well, that concludes our interview. So for the listeners, go buy JB's book and listen to his podcast, because I do every day. It's very inspiring, and check out his products. JB, I want to thank you again for agreeing to do that. And many blessings to you from the bottom of my heart. I will be following and checking out on your material as well.
Well, thank you for having me, and anybody listening, just keep listening, and we need good, positive things in the world. That's what it's about, and we just keep putting positive energy out there. That's the key thing.
True. Thank you so much, JB.
Thank you.
If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. And for questions, information, or to book a free 30-minute introductory coaching session, please visit datelikeafrenchwoman.com.